Hi, this is Piano Lessons for Beginners, Lesson 3, Part 1. In this lesson, we'll be covering 4 songs. I've chosen the biggest selling songs in the UK of 2013 up to September, which are the first one being Blurred Lines, second one Get Lucky, third one Wake Me Up, and the fourth one Let Her Go. This follows on directly from the last lesson. In this instance, if you haven't watched, you probably don't have to watch lesson 1, but you need to watch lesson 2 and work through it. If you haven't worked through lesson 2, you probably won't be able to do this one. So I suggest you go onto my channel and find Piano Lessons for Beginners, lesson 2. So this is lesson 3. I'm going to very quickly recap over what we did last lesson. Now, last lesson I explained that to start off with, to make things easy, we're going to work in C major. There are 12 different keys, but we're going to stick with C major. And this means that we're only going to use white keys on the piano. The first thing that I'm going to quickly explain again is, can you see that from here, Callum? Yeah. This is the C major scale. There are 8 notes in an octave, 1 to 8, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, C is located on the piano next to the 2 black notes. So you've got 2 black notes, 3 black notes, 2 black notes, 3 black notes. C is always located next to 2 black notes. There. So find 2 black notes and C is to the left of them, okay? Now, this is the C scale, so the notes are C, D, E, F, G, then it goes to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, etc. But we're just going to be dealing with one octave for the moment. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, you can make a chord from every one of these notes. So, can you see that? Do you want me to move that down here, Callum, or is that all right up there? Okay, so each one of these notes you can have a chord. Just to recap over what we've done over the last lessons, to make a chord you take a starting note, you go 2 notes up the scale, play the next note, 2 notes up the scale and play the next note. That would be a chord of C. Chord of D, you do the same thing but up 1. Chord of E, up 1 again, F, G, A. B and C in pop music tend not to have chords used on them. So you've only got 6 chords in a basic pop song. And we're going to use numbers rather than letters. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then in the second lesson you learnt that there are 2 other ways of playing each of these chords. The first way of playing these chords is known as first inversion, but I call it little finger inversion. So we take these 3 notes, we're going to hold these 2 here, then we're going to take the C and move it to the top instead of at the bottom. So it looks like that. Move our fingers around, and that is C with the C at the top instead of the bottom. And that's the first inversion. Your little finger goes on the C, and I call it little finger inversion to always remind you when you use this shape that the little finger is playing the root note. Okay? Then the next one we did was the second inversion. It's the other way of playing a chord. So we take the E now and move it up to the top, and that leaves you with a chord looking like that, and that's the second inversion. Change the fingers around, and that's the second inversion. I call it middle finger inversion because your middle finger is now on the root note. So when you play this shape, you always know that your middle finger tells you what the actual chord name is, okay? So, and the first one was thumb inversion. So we've got thumb inversion now, little finger inversion, and middle finger inversion. So we covered that in the second lesson. Now, this lesson, do you want to move back out again? Mm-hmm. In this lesson, we're going to integrate these chords. Now, when you're playing a song, you don't want to be moving around all over the keyboard, down and up. You want to keep the chords as close as you can. So what you have to do is you have to integrate these 3 inversions, and you use the appropriate inversion so that you keep the chords as close as possible without having to move around very much. Now, I've developed a little system here for this. There we go. If I put that like that, is that okay, Callum?
It might be best to move them down onto the keyboard.
Onto the keyboard, okay, that's fine. Getting tighter up. I will move that off then. There we go. So this is the important one now. Is that should I do the other way around, or do you think that's the best way around?
Well, it depends.
This is the important one.
Just that'll be fine.
Fine, good. So this is the little system I've developed to help begin to teach you to integrate the different inversions and show you how to keep them close. So what we're going to do is we've got our 6 chords written out here, which are these 6 chords. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a different inversion for different numbers. So chords 1 and 2, we're going to use thumb inversion for these two. So this is note 1, C, and we're going to do thumb inversion for that chord. So chord 1 is going to be a thumb inversion, then chord 2 is also going to be a thumb inversion. Okay, so are you closed in on the notes now? Good, okay. So chord 1 is a thumb inversion, and chord 2 is a thumb inversion, okay? Now, chords 3 and 4 we're going to do is middle finger inversion. So the next thing you do is you put your middle finger on 3. Remember, there's always a gap of 2 below the root on either of these other 2 inversions. And then you have chord 3 as a middle finger inversion. Chord 4 is a middle finger inversion. And then chords 5 and 6 are going to be little finger inversion. So we're going to put a little finger on chord 5. Now remember the little thing I told you with little finger inversion, it's this finger, and I always get pupils if they forget to do this, and I say little, as in little finger, circle, and make them do this. Whenever they use the wrong finger, if they use the third finger accidentally, I make them do this and say little circle. So remember, this is different, this inversion. You've got to use the index finger instead of the middle finger. And there's, as always, a gap of 2 below the root. So 5 and 6 there. Now, this is very complicated, I admit that. And this is a point where pupils begin to really struggle briefly, but once you push through, you'll be fine, okay? So we're going to run through this for a little while. So first of all, let's just work on these first 4 chords. So remember, chords 1 and 2 are now thumb inversion. This is pretty easy. This is the basic things that we worked on lesson 1. So chords 1 and 2 are going to be thumb inversion. So play with me. Chord 1 as a thumb inversion, and then chord 2 as a thumb inversion. Next thing you're going to do is play chord 3. So now move back, put your middle finger on 3, gap of 2 below the 3, there's your thumb, and this one goes 2 up. That's chord 3, and you move up, middle finger on chord 4. So that's 3 and 4. So that's the first thing we're going to work on doing. So let's go back to chords 1 and 2. Now play with me if you will. It'll help you learn these. So chord 1 is going to be thumb inversion. So play chord 1 like that, then play chord 2 like that. So that's your first 2. Chord 3 is middle finger inversion. So the easiest way of doing this actually is to lift, move back to chord 1, and then move your thumb to the left. And that now gives you a chord 3, and then lock your hand, move up, and you've got chord 4. Okay, so let's do that all again. So chords 1, and then chords 2. The best way of doing this to get to chord 3 is lift, lock your hand, move back to where you were for chord 1, and then simply move your thumb across to create a gap of 2 here after the 3, under the 3. And you've got chord 3 and chord 4. So we're going to run through this a few more times. So chord 1 and 2, lift, lock, move back to chord 1, and then move your thumb across. Then you've got chord 3, middle fingers on chord 3 with a gap of 2 under, lift, lock, move up, and then chord 4. So we'll do that again. So chords 1 and 2, lift, lock, move back to 1, move your thumb across, that's chord 3, and then lock and move up, and that's chord 4. I suggest you keep working on this. Lift, lock, move, thumb across, 3, 4. I suggest you keep working on doing those 4 chords until you've got them perfect. I really suggest you don't try and add these 2 until you're really, really comfortable with getting the 1, 2, 3, and 4 played like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, the next thing we're then going to do is we're going to add chords 5 and 6. So this is chord 4. Now you're going to move back, put your little finger on 5. Remember, there's a gap of 2 underneath. Don't forget little circle. Use these 2 fingers. Now we're using the index finger instead of the middle finger. So we're going to have little finger on note 5, index finger on 2, and 7 with the thumb. That's now 5, and that's now 6. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and now your little finger's going to go on 5, index finger and a gap of 2 under the 5, and the thumb on there, that's 5, and then lock, move up, 6. Okay, so and there's a cheat way of doing this one as well, so let's run through this. So we've got 1, 2, lift, lock, move back to 1, move your thumb. You've got 3 and 4. Now to cheat with this one, lift from a 4, lift, lock, move back to 3, and very simply switch the 3rd finger for the 2nd finger, and obviously put the 2nd finger on this key as opposed to that one to create this gap of 2. And you've got 5, lift, lock, and move up to 6. Okay, so we're going to run through all of them again. So 1, 2, lift, lock, move back, move your thumb, 3, 4. Now the important thing is you've got 4. We'll try and go from 4 to 5. We're going to lift, lock, move back to 3, and then watch carefully. We switch to the index finger, but obviously the index finger goes on there as opposed to there. So the middle one was on 3, but the index finger now goes on 2, 5, and 6. In fact, I'm just going to do 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 3 is middle finger inversion. Get back to 3 with the gap of 2 under the 3. You're going to go 3, 4, lift, lock, move back to 3, and switch to index finger. 5, 6. Let's do that again. So 3 and 4 with your middle finger on the 4. Lift, lock, move back to 3, and switch to the index finger. That's now called 5 because your little finger's on 5 and the gap's under there of 2, 5, and 6. Okay, so we're going to do that again, back to 3. So 3 and 4, lift, lock, move back to 3, switch to index finger. 5, 6. So let's do that again. Last time. So 3, 4, lift, lock, move back to 3, change to index finger. 5, 6. So last of all, let's put all of them together. So it's going to be 1, 2, lift, lock, move back to 1, move the thumb across. 3, 4, lift, lock, move back to 3, switch to index finger. 5, 6. I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times for you before we finish this part of the tutorial. But we're going to now try and do all 5 of these chords together. So all of these 6 of these chords together. You've got to get these absolutely perfect. This stage absolutely perfect before you start trying to play these songs. So when this part is finished, I suggest you keep running over this part until you've got this perfect. It's quite hard at first. You will be able to do it if you put the work in, but just really put the time and effort in to get it perfect. So we've got 1 and 2, lift, lock, move back to 1, move the thumb across. 3, 4, lift, lock, move back to 3, change to index finger. 5, 6. Let's do that again. Do this with me. It's important you do this with me. So we've got 1 and 2. So lift, lock, move back to 1, then move the thumb across. And then you've got 3 and 4. Okay, so lift, lock, move back to 3, and then switch to index finger. 5 and 6. Last time. 1, 2, lift, lock, back to 1, thumb across. 3, 4, lift, lock, back to 3, switch to index finger. 5, 6. I'm actually going to do a couple more times, so I was lying, not intentionally. I'm going to do a bit faster this time. So 1, 2, lift, lift, lock, so back to 1, move your thumb. 3, 4, lift, back to 3, switch to index finger. 5, 6. So 1, 2, back to 1, move your thumb. 3, 4, back to 3, switch to index. 5, 6. So run that again. 1, 2, back to 1, move your thumb. 3, 4, back to 3, switch to index. 5, 6. Last time. 1, 2, back to 1, move your thumb. 3, 4, back to 3, switch to index. 5, 6. Okay. So do you want to move out, Callum, so I can... Thank you. So this is complicated, and most of my pupils kind of look quite frightened when they have to start trying to learn this. I suggest it's a lot of the things you're going to do on piano are difficult when you first start doing them, but you're going to do this kind of thing and use these kinds of templates and these inversions for the rest of your piano playing career if you continue with piano. So it's difficult right now, but once you've learned it, which will take a little bit of work, you'll be using these forever. So they're going to be reinforced forever when you play piano. These are fundamental to you playing piano. So I suggest that you just put the work in. It takes a little bit of time, but you're going to need these for playing everything you're going to play. So you just got to put the work in. If it's hard, some things are hard in life, but you just got to push through. And once you've done them, it's going to be easy because you're going to be using it again and again and again and again until you just know it like second nature. And you need to know this like second nature before you start really developing on the piano. So really put some time in with this part. The next part, we're going to start working on Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke, I don't know how to pronounce that, Pharrell Williams. So please go to part 2 if you want to go to the next part of this. Go to my, if it doesn't go straight on, because if you've got it on playlist, it'll go straight on. But if not, go to my channel and go to lesson 3, part 2.